Okay, we'll give a little look at the discussion assignments here. The first one is kind of fun. At least I thought it was when I made it. People seem to think it's kind of fun. Philosophical questions and answers. You're pretty much running the show here. I want you to think of a philosophical question that interests you. And I mean that in a broad sense, meaning philosophical in a broad sense, since we're presumably being introduced to philosophy in this course. You may not know exactly what counts as a philosophical question and what doesn't, and I don't want us to worry so much as to what counts as like officially philosophical. But take that in, the spirit of being a deep, probing question about the nature of the universe, of mankind, maybe of ethics, the nature of reality, stuff like that. So, pretty broad. Think about something that's genuinely interesting and that you would have interest in researching. You won't have to research that. So, first thing is to think of a question and put it up there. And put your question in your subject line. And then you will look at somebody else's question. Everybody's going to post a question, and you'll look at somebody else's, find one that sounds kind of interesting, and you will go ahead and research for them supposed or purported answers to their questions, or just get some research on that research that bears on the topics that are of interest to them. And when you do that, collect the most interesting material. You might copy and paste it off the internet. I'm presuming most of this is stuff you'll do off the internet. Write up a little summary at the beginning and then give them a bunch of the sources, either as links or you could even kind of copy and paste it. Give a little summary for them of what you think the research that you've looked at suggests as an answer to the question. Now, somebody else should be doing the same for yours. So somebody should look at your question, go ahead and research that, and leave you a bunch of research on it. So it's like somebody is doing the research for the question that you're interested in, and you're doing the research for somebody else on a question that they're interested in. Okay, so it's kind of fun, interactive, engaging. The second one is a little less open because we've got 4 different readings. They're all short. I'm calling these 4 models of transformation. And these are really interesting, pretty powerful, brief, for the most part allegorical or mythical tales constructed by philosophers to metaphorically present what they take to be the ultimate transformation a human being can make in their life. That's a big deal, or at least it is to them. That's a deep issue. They're doing this indirectly. That we've got the allegory of the cave, the myth of Sisyphus. Nietzsche tells us this tale about the 3 transformations of the spirit from a camel to a lion to a child. None of that is the real meaning of what they're trying to get across. They're using symbols, allegories, and myths to try to present what they take to be the fundamental transformation of a human life, the most important thing that a human being can do. It requires some kind of change or transformation from what we otherwise are. So, yeah, I've got a link there, and just go ahead and link on each of the ones, like the Buddha, the Nietzsche. Could be a little bit better laid out. I'll kind of work on that, but you should be able to access all of those readings there. And try to succinctly summarize what that transformation is. Like go from the symbols, what the symbols are telling us, to some real human activity or some real human process that the symbols and the story are representing. What real human process is the piece that you selected describing? So select one piece and put something interesting, like the meaning, the ultimate meaning of that piece in your subject line. So in our discussion board, we'll have interesting looking subject lines. Sometimes they all look like they say the same thing or something that kind of grabs your attention. make somebody want to look. So yeah, give a succinct discussion of what the meaning of that piece is, and kind of tell us how you see that in the symbols, and elaborate a little bit. Don't give a blurb. You might do about a page pretty much on summarizing. Just get right to it too, but include some details from the reading and your interpretation of those key details. Could be a little more than a page, at least a page. Then find a post by a peer who wrote on a different topic. So they selected a different one of those four, and go see what they said that their piece was describing as the ultimate transformation, and compare theirs to yours. You might be comparing Buddha and the myth of Sisyphus. There's actually really interesting comparisons there. You might be looking at the allegory of the cave and Nietzsche's three metamorphoses. There's lots of different comparisons that might be going on here depending on what you wrote and what they wrote. Now, each of these authors is telling us what they think the fundamental transformation of human life is, and now you're in a space to compare them. We want to ask ourselves, are they really kind of explaining the same thing in different ways? In these different stories and different symbols, does it really come down to the same fundamental transformation? Or do they really see things differently? Do Buddha and Nietzsche really disagree on what the fundamental transformation of human life is? That's really what I want you to get into. Compare and contrast yours with theirs and see what kind of overlap do we see between these thinkers? What kind of differences do we see between these thinkers? Maybe there's real disagreement over what the ultimate transformation of life is, the ultimate human achievement. I wouldn't be surprised. On the other hand, we might find some kind of interesting commonalities, and we might find both. So get into that. Consider the similarities, differences, and explore those as much as you can. And at the end of the day, tell us which of the two seems to be a more compelling description of the fundamental transformation of a human life. The one you initially wrote on, or the one that you were applying to. There's no big deal if you don't end up going with the one that you wrote on. Just really look at who seems to be more compelling. Okay, so this should be fun. I can see about, if you put them all together, both of the your submission and the response, 2 pages, could be a little bit more, but don't do a blurb. Put some real thought into it. That's really one of the main things I'm looking for, is that you did all what's required of you, and you got into it. You didn't just do a blurb. You're developing your ideas. You're getting into details. You're comparing. You're analyzing. You're interpreting. And that'll take some space. Okay, so have fun with it.